His MVP. Golfs one, right field. Forget about it. Rangers strike first. Goes after the first one. Drills a high fly ball. Left center field. This game is tied. From Javier. Seager hits a high fly ball. Deep right field. A bomb into first. One swing. Drive. It's tied. Seager smashes the ball down line. Goodbye. Now Seager to right center field, way back there. It's gone again. Corey Seager does it again. It's Rangers win the World Series. The Willie Mays Most Valuable Player Trophy presented by Chevrolet. Is there any doubt? Corey Seager.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, off-season mode. We'll talk a little MLB playoffs as well. ALCS, NLCS still going on right now. Of course, Blue Jays, Mariners, M's trying to take a 3-0 lead tonight, and we've got the Brewers in trouble on the other side. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but we will highlight mostly in the show all of the happenings going on with the Texas Rangers so far in this offseason. Appreciate the gift, by the way. Thank you so much. Great to see all of you guys on TikTok and on YouTube, Instagram, X, however you may be watching. I appreciate it. Look, going to take a lot of comments and questions as well. You guys kind of know how the show works. We've got a few talking points that we'll hammer out throughout the course of the show, but we love hearing from you guys. What's on your mind? What questions you might have? If I miss something, you know the drill. Copy and paste it. We try not to duck any comments. Obviously, we got to work through some nonsense at times, but you put the comment in the chat, we'll try and get to it. So let's start here. Skip Schumaker introduced on Friday, saying a lot of the right things. We'll talk about some takeaways. I'm excited, by the way, overall. I think I should start with that. Excited about the Skip Schumaker deal. 4-year deal. Love that. Which kind of tells you this could potentially be going a couple of different directions. And I think that it's pretty obvious, unless the Rangers decide to sell off big-name players, we're talking about Jacob deGrom, we're talking about Corey Seager, unless they do that this offseason, which I don't anticipate, the Rangers expect to win now. But with a 4-year deal, I could see year 3, year 4 potentially being a bit of a rebuild. I think that this is set up to kind of go a couple of different directions. Now, could the Rangers in 3 years still be playing for a playoff spot? Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that could be potential depending on how some of the younger players and younger pitchers develop. But I think it's set up for Skip to be able to handle both scenarios. Whether the Rangers compete in October next year, which I hope they do, and I would expect that they do, or whether, unfortunately for us as Rangers fans, they take a turn. I think Skip is going to be the guy, postseason, competitive club, or rebuild, trading players. I think he is the manager in either scenario. And so I feel good about the 4-year deal. Feel good about some of the things Skip said in his press conference, talking about getting the most about some of the veterans that we currently have. I don't think there was anything groundbreaking, if we could just be honest. It was great to see him in the Rangers threads. Great to hear him speak. I definitely was always a fan of them going this direction, and I thought Skip Schumaker would be the coach in waiting from the moment they hired him. Didn't know if it was going to happen this year, but sure enough, Bochy, Rangers part ways, and it makes a lot of sense that they went this direction. He knows the organization. That's a huge positive. He's seen what we went through this year. I really like that. He's seen firsthand what we went through in 2025. Clearly had a little bit of an idea of what the club went through in 2024, but you got to see firsthand in 2025 what the Texas Rangers experienced, what the fans experienced, and what was going on in that locker room. Clearly he wasn't in the locker room every day, but I'm sure that he had those discussions with some of the different managers, with some of the different coaches, possibly even with some players. I definitely feel like there might be some communication that was already going on between some of the players and Skip Schumaker. That wouldn't shock me in the least bit. I don't think that's ever necessarily going to be fully public, but it would surprise me if Skip hadn't already had some conversations with maybe some of the veterans, with some of the players on the team in 2025 that are going to be around in 2026 as well. I am very, very curious to see what the Rangers do with their offseason moves. I know a lot of you guys are. I don't think there's a lot for us to chat about quite yet. In November, that's really going to heat up, right? That's when free agency really starts cooking once the World Series is over with. We can definitely speculate on some potential guys, and we did last show, right? We talked about Sonny Gray being a target for a trade. We talked about some free agents that may be possibilities. I have some general things that I'll speak to, some strategies, some things to think about with the Rangers, and really what their limitations may be when it comes to making a trade or when it comes to signing free agents. So we're going to get there. Would love to hear who you guys are wanting to sign. Would love to hear who you guys may want to trade for. That's all fun. This is part of the fun of the offseason. You get to throw out all these ideas and envision some of these players on your squad. I love it. It's a part of why this offseason show is a weekly thing. And new things always seem to find their way about regardless. But here's another place to start. And by the way, welcome to the show for all y'all hanging out. Thank you so much for supporting even in the offseason. If you're here from Cowboys, look, this is our Wednesday Texas Rangers offseason show. Saturday, Sundays for football. We'll definitely be open to talking a little football here and there throughout the show, but mainly going to be a baseball focus today. But I'll be happy to talk a little Cowboys, a little Longhorns, if you hang out and you're patient enough as we work through some of the Rangers stuff. Really big news, 5 different Rangers. 5 different Rangers. I think this is a pretty big accomplishment. Nominated for Gold Gloves. First of all, Jacob deGrom, nominated as one of the AL pitchers for a Gold Glove. Adolis Garcia, right fielder, nominated for a Gold Glove. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, each nominated for a Gold Glove this year. And Wyatt Langford in left field, also nominated for a Gold Glove. I mean, this makes a lot of sense. The Rangers were the best defense in baseball this year, and that is not an opinion. That is factual. You look at the numbers, you look at the runs saved, you look at the fielding percentage, the Rangers were the best defense in baseball. It almost makes it more painful to consider that the Rangers missed the playoffs with the best pitching staff and the best defense in baseball. I'm trying to get over it still. I'm getting closer and closer each day as we creep closer to the 2026 opening day. It gets a little better, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's still painful when I say these things out loud. The Rangers with the best defense and the best pitching in baseball don't make the playoffs. And of course, 5 Gold Glove nominations to back up that best defense in baseball assertion beyond the facts that are already there. It is tough. Tejano Country, totally with you on that. It's just tough. And when you look and reflect on those 5 nominations, I think about Wyatt Langford, the sliding catches. I think about the solid throws in some of the outfield assists that he had. Adolis Garcia, you think about some of his plays at the plate, gunning down runners from deep right field. Adolis is a perennial Gold Glover, honestly, and he's been that way for the past several seasons. Jacob deGrom, fielding his position. I think that pitchers are always a little tough. I mean, look, you don't necessarily get a lot of highlight reel plays from pitchers, but clearly you do have measurables, you have putouts, you have fielding percentages, you have things like that, but clearly Jacob deGrom in your mind doesn't stick out as a guy that ever hurt himself out there fielding the ball, playing his position. Marcus Semien, I think we all expected. Semien, that was really the positive. One of the biggest positives of Marcus Semien this year was you said, hey, the bat's struggling, but at least we got solid defense. At least we have elite defense. And to me, this Gold Glove nomination is a reason why I feel okay with Marcus Semien being back on the team next year. I know there's a number of Rangers fans that are kind of going back and forth about this. A number of Rangers fans that wouldn't mind moving on from Marcus Semien. If they traded Marcus Semien away, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go into a deep depression. But I really feel like Marcus Semien is a grass isn't always greener kind of guy. I think you can move on from Marcus Semien. I just don't know if you're going to necessarily replace some of the intangibles, some of the leadership qualities that he has, the heart, the hustle, but then the glove. I just don't know if getting rid of Marcus Semien is going to be a decision that you look back on at the end of 2026 and say, great move. Getting rid of a gold glove second baseman who, yes, past 2 years has declined offensively, but at this point, with the contract being what it is, I just feel like the right move is to run it back with Marcus. He's a guy that is going to stay healthy for you, and you really feel like is due for not a breakout all-star season, but just a solid season at the plate. I really feel like it's going to be hard for Marcus to repeat what he did this year. Maybe you're totally out on this. And this isn't necessarily deep analytic analysis. This is just more me and what my gut feeling is. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, could we look up some of the measurables on Marcus Semien? Absolutely. And let's do so. Let's go ahead. Let's go to Baseball Savant. Let's see if we can get anything about Marcus Semien that maybe gives us a little bit of hope, right? That's kind of what I always try and do when we're doubting a player and how well they can perform or how well they're going to perform. You look at some of the measurables. And look, Marcus Semien, in terms of his advanced stats, you're talking 80th percentile in chase rate, 75th percentile in squared up rate, 74th percentile in K percentage. I mean, this is a guy that's not giving you terrible at bats. I mean, there's a lot of other Rangers. You go to the Baseball Savant page, and it's blue, 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 blue. Like, it's nothing but terrible. I look at Marcus's page, the exit velo's down, the barrel percentage and the hard hit percentage are down. But you look at some of the other numbers, and you feel encouraged. Marcus is giving you some quality at bats. He's not chasing bad pitches. He is squaring up the baseball. It's just not all coming together for him at this point. Fielding is elite. The base running is still elite. Base running value is 86th percentile. This is a great base runner. He's not running into outs on the base paths, and he's saving you runs. I think there's a lot of value with Marcus Semien. Could the bat be better? 1,000% it could be better. But I just feel like Marcus is a guy you're going to say to yourself, the grass isn't always greener. You move on from Marcus. You put Josh Schmidt there. You put Ezekiel Duran there. You put Cody Freeman there. And you guys know, big Cody Freeman fan. Huge Cody Freeman fan. We actually had Cody stop by the show last week on Wednesday. He answered a couple questions. It was awesome. So look out for that. Maybe he'll join us again at some point this offseason. But that was great. And, you know, Cody is definitely a fan favorite. I feel like, just based on my interactions with you guys and some of the videos that I've made and put out and some of the lives that I've done. But I just feel like, nevertheless, Marcus Semien, this is a guy that finished top 3 in MVP a couple seasons ago. I know that the drop-off in 24 and 25 was bad, but I just feel like Semien is a guy who is going to one day be gone, and you might miss what he brought with the glove, with the base running. And look, honestly, with some quality at bats up at the plate. I'd love for Marcus to walk more. I feel like he's a guy that needs to be able to take more pitches and get on base better at a better clip. The on-base percentage is not really what you want it to be, considering Marcus is a guy that's been up at the top of the lineup for a lot of his career. But I think that there are a lot of intangibles. There's a lot of good things to like about Semien. And look, there's no bigger fan than me of Marcus trying to get back on track here. JJ, what's good, man? Correct me if I'm wrong. Seattle, the only team that's never been to a World Series. It definitely never won one. I'm not sure about never been. What happens with Peterson is a bigger question. Let's actually look up Jock Peterson on Baseball Ref as well. Look, Tejano Country, appreciate all your comments today. If I'm being real, I think Peterson is another guy you're going to see the Rangers run it back with. I don't see any path where Jock is not on the club in 2026, and he's not in the starting rotation. You heard Skip Schumaker say Jock Peterson's name in some of his opening comments and remarks. I cannot see them moving on from Jock. I understand some of y'all don't like Jock. User 617, appreciate the comment. Good to see you. I don't see them moving on from him. I'm not saying that I love everything Jock Peterson brought to the table. I just think, like Marcus, the investment is too big. I can't say I feel quite as much as I do for Marcus as I do for Jock. Like I said with Marcus, grass isn't always greener. The grass might be greener moving on from Jock Peterson, but with the $18.5 million contract, I just don't see the Rangers saying, we're going to eat that and just move on. I think the Rangers are going to say to themselves, there's more upside here in keeping him and banking on a rebound. Look, this isn't a guy like, for example, not trying to be a hater here, but this isn't a guy like Jonah Heim who's controllable for multiple years. You got one more year left with Jock Peterson. I think there is a scenario where they could bring him back for a third year, but you got one more year left with Jock. I think that the Rangers are going to take the chance. We're already paying him 18.5. Let's see if this first year was a little bit of a fluke, a little bit injury ridden, and we're going to get a much better version of Jock. Now, you look at Jock's numbers, the exit velo is 91st. Actually, not quite 91st. They don't give me a percentage. His average exit velo was 91.1, above average. Hard hit percentage was above average. Bat speed above average. Walk percentage, which I love. Love a guy that can take walks. Walk percentage was above average. Chase rate above average. You've got a number of different statistics here where Jock Peterson is above average. Look, it's not great everywhere else. There's a lot of middle of the pack. The sweet spot percentage is very low. The expected batting average, very low. But you've got some things that you can latch onto. Guy hits the ball hard. The bat speed is elite. The walk percentage is elite. Those are things that I can work with personally as a fan. You just love to see the ball find more seats, more green grass. That to me is something I think the Rangers are 1,000% going to be willing to take a risk, a little bit of a flyer on, versus just cutting Jock Peterson without even giving him a shot to rebound. Now, is the leash going to be a lot shorter? Could I see Jock Peterson not being with the club for very long if he struggles for the first month and a half? I think there is a scenario where they do cut bait on Jock a little bit sooner rather than later if he continues to struggle. I mean, look, I don't have any intel there, but I cannot imagine the Rangers go through another March, April, May where Jock is just floundering and they do nothing. They just continue to allow him to ride it out. I just don't see that happening. I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong, but I don't think they're going to allow Jock to go 2+ months of struggle without making some kind of move. That would be surprising to me. Jock Peterson hasn't been good since he left LA. I would disagree with that a little bit. I think he had some good years for Arizona. I think he had some good years when he was in Atlanta, obviously, winning a World Series with them. I think Jock has had some good years, even beyond the LA years. I really do. Do I think the Rangers will be in the mix to land Bregman? Look, do I want them to be? Yes. I would love for the Rangers to be in the Bregman mix. And I know Bregman is the enemy. I've said this all season long. I know this might be a little sacrilegious, but I absolutely would love for the Rangers to be in on Alex Bregman. I think Josh Young is still high potential, but clearly Young had some struggles this year. There's no denying that. Sent down to the minor leagues, that doesn't happen for no reason. I think the Rangers would gladly, if they could swing it with the finances, upgrade to an Alex Bregman type, and then Josh Young becomes a little bit expendable. Are they possibly going to just ride it out with Josh Young and hope that he bounces back too? I think that is absolutely on the table. But I would really love for the Rangers to take a look at a guy like Alex Bregman. I think he is one of the best third basemen in the game. The glove is there. The bat is there. The leadership quality is there. Kind of an alpha type in the clubhouse. We talked about that. The Rangers, they need more than just a good hitter. They need a presence. They need a guy that is not going to be just fitting in with the crowd in that clubhouse. They need an alpha. And I think Alex Bregman would be that type of player. I mean, like it or not, I think he would go into that clubhouse, and I think that he would not be afraid to speak his mind. I don't care about the Corey Seager mic drop, whatever you want to call it. Look, that was a freaking awesome moment. We can all agree on that. That was an awesome moment at the parade. Corey Seager using Alex Bregman's words against him. You love that. That is a classic moment, forever going to be a classic. But I don't think Bregman is going to go in there with tail between legs if you signed him. I think he would go in there being exactly who he is, unafraid to speak up and speak his mind. Now, will the Rangers maybe give him a hard time here and there? Sure, absolutely. I mean, like, as teammates do, right? But do I think Bregman is going to slink back and be a shell of himself in the Rangers clubhouse? Why would you be? Why would you be? Dude's won a World Series. He's one of the top players in the game. Why would you go into that clubhouse and be afraid to speak up? I don't really get that. I would love a guy like Kyle Schwarber. That would be another one. They just need an alpha type. You cannot just sign a guy who's good, but kind of another quiet, goes about his business. They need somebody that is going to be vocal. I think that this clubhouse really lacked that vocal leadership. It's one thing to have a vibes guy, a Hedgie, even I would say a Jock Peterson, right? Jock Peterson's kind of a vibes guy, kind of keeps guys loose. I don't know that Jock is like the vocal alpha in the clubhouse, but he's a guy that is likable. He's a guy that is not unwilling to have some fun out there. You like that a lot. But I'm talking about a guy that is willing to help hold players accountable to the culture, hold players accountable to what they're trying to accomplish, how they do things, all that kind of stuff. And so I'd like to see them go get a player like Bregman, a player like Schwarber. I think that is what they have to be locked in on beyond just the on-field accomplishments. Keep going. Appreciate you. Seager's too quiet. Yeah, Seager's great. Seager's one of my favorite players, and I've said that many times on the show. I love Corey Seager, but Corey Seager, in the words of Evan Grant, who some of y'all I know follow and listen to, he's a performer. He's not necessarily your clubhouse leader. He's a performer. He's a guy that is going to lead by example, and that's great. Leading by example is phenomenal. You need example leaders in every profession. You need people that just keep their head down. They do the right things. They do it really well, but they're not necessarily, boisterous. They're not necessarily loud. They're not necessarily getting in people's faces when needed. You need both. And I think the Rangers have enough guys that kind of do the right thing and keep to themselves. Now, I think you need a guy that's willing to help hold players accountable, light the fire at times when needed, when things aren't going well, or when a player is not given everything they got being a part of the team. I think you need somebody like that at this point. Hey, man. Yeah, look, it's hard. I miss y'all hanging out. Look, I miss all of y'all Rangers fans. I mean, it's great doing football. I love doing football. Football, very, very, very close second to baseball. Baseball first love. Football right behind it. But I miss hanging out with y'all every day. This is the tough part about the off season. We spend almost every day hanging out together, talking ball, and then it shrinks down to about once a week, or once the free agency starts heating up. Sometimes we'll get on a couple times a week if we got to do a little emergency live for a big signing or a big trade, something like that. But yeah, I miss hanging out with you guys. That's the tough part about the off season every time. We keep going. Rangers therapy, JJ, 100%. 100%. JJ, I think that Mike Maddox is obviously going to be the number one guy that you want to retain. I think the Rangers will keep a lot of the guys. I think probably you're going to try and reset the hitting coaches a little bit. I would just be shocked if the Rangers try and run it back with the exact same hitting coaches. Brett Boone, Veal, all those guys. I would just be really surprised. I think that they are going to have to make changes. If you're not going to, make new changes there, for me, it feels like, what's the point? I mean, clearly there was something missing there. You can blame it on regression all you want, but it feels like you've got to make a move. You're parting ways with Bruce Bochy, and you're not going to part ways with any of the hitting coaches. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, pitching, yeah, your pitching was among the best in the league. I think you're going to keep coaches related to the defensive side of the ball, and I think you're going to keep coaches that are related to the pitching. I don't think you can do anything else. I don't think that there is any alternative there. You have to retain as many defensive coaches and as many pitching coaches as you can. Period. But I think you got to retool in the hitting department. I think it would be a shame otherwise. All right, let's look at the staff, though. We'll pull up the coaches as we talk, among other things. Let's look at the coaching staff. Christian, what's good, man? What should the Cardinals do this offseason? Well, look, I don't profess to be an expert on the Cardinals. I will say this. Thank you for supporting the show and stopping by. Feels like the Cardinals are going to be rebuilding a little bit, doesn't it? All I hear out of Cardinals Nation are, who are we going to get for Arenado? Who are we going to get for Sonny Gray? Hey, look, the Rangers were actually linked to Sonny Gray, speaking of. Rangers, though, I think what you have to consider with them, and this actually gets into another one of my talking points, so I'm going to go ahead and segue here. I think the Rangers are very limited in the trade market. I think they're limited. I do think that the Rangers are going to be interested in some players that are on the trading block. But think about this. If you're the Rangers, you just lost 3 top prospects in the Merrill Kelly trade. You lost David Hageman, who ironically is on the fall team that many of the Rangers players went to. So David Hageman reuniting with some of his Rangers counterparts. We'll talk about the Arizona Fall League a little bit later on in the show, give you an update on how some of the players that the Rangers sent from their minor league system are doing. You sent David Hageman. You sent Cole Drake. You sent Mitch Bratt. Those 3 players were top 15 prospects. And essentially, you lost them for nothing. You didn't make the playoffs. You didn't win a ring. I think that the Merrill Kelly trade was an epic fail in hindsight. And hindsight's always 20/20, but you didn't make the playoffs. You didn't win a World Series, and you traded 3 of your top 15 prospects. And, oh, by the way, you're most likely not going to be re-signing Merrill Kelly, who is going to be 37 years old this offseason. I think Merrill Kelly is probably going to be interested in potentially going back to the Diamondbacks, kind of a la Aroldis Chapman. Remember when Chappie got traded from Yankees to Cubs? Cubs won the World Series, and then he went ahead and re-signed with the Yankees the following offseason after the Cubs won it all. I think that we could easily see Merrill Kelly doing that with the Diamondbacks. Merrill Kelly obviously spent some time in Arizona, the only team he had played for. I believe he went to college in Arizona as well. I think he was born in Houston. Don't know how long he stayed there. But you're pretty much getting nothing for Merrill Kelly, except you traded away all 3 of those prospects to the Diamondbacks. So I say this to bring up the fact that, are you really going to have a lot of minor league players at your disposal to trade? Would you even want to trade away more minor league talent to go get like an Adley Rutschman, for example? And I know Adley is kind of the big name getting thrown around, and the Rangers do, in my opinion, need a catcher. I know some of you guys, Zach, I know you're mentioning Heim, not wanting him back. Look, I do feel like the Rangers need to probably move on from Jonah Heim. It's been 2 years. Look, these are tough things. We don't want anybody to lose their job. I mean, this is a real person with a family. You hope that Jonah Heim is able to catch on somewhere else, but I'm not sure that it's worked out the past 2 years. In fact, I'm very sure that it hasn't worked out. Jonah Heim was great in 2023, led catchers in RBI, 95 RBI in 23, All-Star Game starter, won the Gold Glove, won the World Series, kind of peak right there. That was the peak. You've seen a very steep drop-off. And look, these are the not fun things to talk about. But I would not be shocked if the Rangers move on from Jonah Heim. In fact, I think they probably should. Adley Rutschman would be a great addition, but I don't know that the Rangers are wanting or are willing to trade more top 15 prospects to go get an Adley Rutschman. And I do think it would take top 15 prospects. I don't think you're going to be able to get Adley Rutschman for nobody. Could you potentially trade maybe major league players? Yes. Could Josh Smith potentially be a guy that you trade in an Adley Rutschman deal? I think so. Could Ezekiel Duran be in that mix? Possibly. I don't think the Rangers want to bail on some of the young talent. Cody Freeman, I would hate to see them trade Cody Freeman, but my point is I think that some of these major league ready players are going to be what the Rangers have to use for their trade capital. Otherwise, you're just gutting the farm even more. And this actually brings me to another point. Think about some of the guys that are among the tops in free agency, some of the guys that are most sought after. All of those players are getting qualifying offers. And I know some of you know how qualifying offers works. I don't want to talk down to anybody, but essentially when you sign a guy that's received a qualifying offer from their team as they approach free agency, the Rangers lose a draft pick. Right? You lose draft capital when you sign a player who has been offered a qualifying offer. And so I don't know if the Rangers are going to be in the market for some of these top players with that considered. That worries me. I think the Rangers are going to look at losing draft capital, going to sign a Kyle Schwarber, and potentially be deterred. I mean, maybe they'll pass it up if you are guaranteed for a decent deal to be able to get one of those guys. But I think there are some things that are holding the Rangers back from really going all in free agency. You sign a Kyle Schwarber, you sign a JT Realmuto, you sign another guy like Kyle Tucker. I think is a long shot, but if you sign Kyle Tucker, you're losing draft capital. And so I think that the Rangers are limited in the offseason and what they can do unless you want to sign mid-level players or unless you want to trade players that are major league ready on your major league roster right now, but may be seen as a bit expendable or depth. And I think guys like Duran, Smith, I hate to say it, but Cody Freeman, those are the kinds of guys, if you were going to trade to get in a guy like Adley Rutschman, that you'd probably be a little bit more apt to trade versus more top 15 prospects. We'll see. Maybe I'm way off on that, but I think that there are some limitations the Rangers have going into this offseason. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am definitely tempering my expectations. Would I love for the Rangers to go on this crazy spending spree, forego all the draft ramifications when you sign these guys with qualifying offers from their teams as they approach free agency? 100%. I would love to see it. I just feel like they're kind of setting us up for a boring, kind of mid offseason. I hope to be wrong. I really do. Should we rebuild? No. But I think JJ nailed it. I think they're going to be cautious. I think they might try and, for example, re-sign Tyler Mahle. I think re-signing Tyler Mahle would be a cautious but prudent move. You're not losing draft capital to go get a Tyler Mahle. You could maybe offer him a qualifying offer. You're going to have to pay him $18, $19 million, whatever it is. But I do think that the Rangers are going to be wise. I think they are probably not going to take a lot of big swings, but I don't think they're going to rebuild either. I don't think that is going to be the case. Christian, appreciate you, man. Would I trade DeGrom when his value is high? Pamela, appreciate all the comments. I think if you trade DeGrom, you got to go into full rebuild mode. I think the Rangers have to decide, do you want to rebuild or do you want to still be competitive? And I don't think there's any question. I think the Rangers still want to be competitive. Do they want to go all in? No, I don't think they want to go all in. But you only trade DeGrom if you're ready for a full rebuild. I don't think there is any other scenario where you trade a Jacob DeGrom. And I know that some of these guys are, no trade clause, and you'd really have to get permission to even make it happen. But I think if you are consciously deciding, we want to kind of reset this thing, trade DeGrom. If you think, hey, we can still be competitive over the next 2 years, and that's the route I think the front office is going to go, no way. You keep DeGrom. He still can be one of the best relievers, starting pitchers in baseball at times. I think he had his moments where maybe let the foot off the gas a little bit, for lack of a better expression. We think back to that Houston start at the end of the year where he just didn't have it. But then you look at plenty of other starts where he dominated. I think Jacob DeGrom is still a number 1, number 2 starter in this league. And I think if you trade him, you're really sending a pretty strong message to the rest of the club that you're not planning on being competitive, and I just don't see them doing that. Caden, Mariners are up 2-0 already. Runner on second, 2 outs in the first. Jeez. M's are cooking, man. They're about to go up 3-0. It's crazy. It's crazy. Texas did look good this weekend. Hopefully they can carry it over to Lexington, facing the Wildcats this weekend. Go Rangers, Gary. Appreciate you, man. Hey, thank you. Hey, 2276 Shadow. Appreciate it. Love this hat. Got it on New Era. Download the New Era app. Look, all of the best hats, I think, that I've ever gotten are on New Era. Fanatics definitely has a nice collection, but I find the New Era is where I go to more often than not. Is Maton going to be back in 26? Lulu, I hope so. I think that some of those guys did express a willingness to, want to come back. The question is money. It always is. And, some of these guys, especially if you're a relief pitcher, I mean, there comes a point where I'm sure it becomes a little bit trivial and you can just go where you want to go. But if a team is willing to offer you substantially more, it's hard to turn down that money. Being a reliever, it's very fickle. You have your good stretches where you're dominant, and then suddenly you start losing it a little bit. And when you're a relief pitcher, the margins are razor thin. So if you can get paid in the offseason coming off a good year, you kind of got to maximize your value. But I think Maton and a couple other of the relievers have expressed wanting to come back. And I hope that happens. I'm a Phil Maton fan. And Phil Maton, you look at the advanced stats on him, a lot of red, a lot of good stuff, some of the best extension in the game. It doesn't throw super hard, but that extension he gets off the mound makes that low 90s fastball look like it is going a lot faster. So I'd love to have Phil Maton back. Would love that. Need a real closer. Hey, Luis, appreciate you, man. I think that they are going to absolutely consider some closing options in free agency. I see them going and getting a high upside guy. Think like a free agent with some octane, right? A guy who can throw upper 90s, maybe has a pretty good off-speed pitch. I would be surprised if they went out and got name brand, right? I would be surprised if they went out and got a guy that is a household name. I think they are going to go out, and if they do try and identify a closer in free agency, it's going to be a guy that has the pieces, but maybe hasn't been given the opportunity yet. I really would be shocked if they go out and sign some big name guy. Really do. Keep going. See if I missed anything. Still the catcher from Stanford. Omar, what's good, man? I think that we've got a situation where Malcolm Moore is probably not ready until 27, 28. I think Malcolm Moore is one of the guys that is in the fall league right now. And there are a few different Rangers that are in the fall league. But I don't think that Malcolm Moore is going to be ready for a couple of years, guys. I would be really, really surprised. I mean, maybe, but it would surprise me. Real Muto would definitely be nice, but it would surprise me if we had Malcolm Moore ready to go. Riley, what truth are you talking about? Sorry if I missed the comment. Like to see Malley back. Luis, I think they're going to focus on that. I really do. I think that Malley is going to be a guy that really makes sense to bring back. You know him. You're familiar with him. He's been rehabbing with you. You're very aware of the health stuff. Now, are there going to be other teams interested in Tyler Malley? I don't know why there wouldn't be. When healthy, Tyler Malley has been really, really good. So it would surprise me if they do not try and go back out and get him. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I would be a little shocked. I would be. I think Tyler Malley, getting him back would be outstanding. I think that would be a really wise, smart move. Sorry if I'm breaking up a little bit on YouTube. Feels like I'm getting a little choppy on the connection. Hopefully it evens out a little bit. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. Rangers offseason show is what we're going through, talking everything from the past week that the Rangers have announced or news that is broken on them over the past week. By the way, Arizona Fall League participants, Walcott, by the way, they shut down Sebastian Walcott, arm fatigue. I think he played one game, and they decided to shut him down. I really feel like we got to pump the brakes a little bit on Walcott. I know there's some people that are saying 2026 he's going to be up. I kind of see the only scenario him coming up in 2026 next season. Like the only scenario would be major injury or major suck. Like we're terrible in 2026. Those are the only two scenarios where I really see him coming up and being a part of the big league club. It would really surprise me if they bring him up to be a bench guy. I think if you bring up your top prospect, he's starting. So unless Corey Seager or Marcus Semien, or, I guess maybe if Josh Young or one of the outfielders gets hurt or it does really, really bad to start the year, I think that he is going to continue to stick down in the minor leagues this year primarily. I would like to think in 27 he'll be given a shot to start, but I would be kind of surprised if we see Sebastian Walcott become some big force in 2026 for the club. Brad, what's going on, man? Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. We're just talking Rangers. Let's see. Jose Corniel, he's at Fall League. Winston Santos, Fall League. Malcolm Moore, Teodo, Dreiling, Colton Curtis, the number 23 prospect, and Joey Danielson. All those guys are at Fall League right now. By the way, Dreiling, 15th prospect. Teodo, 14th prospect right now. Malcolm Moore, top selection in the 24 MLB draft, number 11 prospect. Santos is our number 4, Corniel number 3, and we got Walcott number 1. Craig, appreciate the gift, man. Thank you so much. Big Game James, what's good, man? And Brad, what's good as well? Thanks for hanging out. Am I watching the game? No, not watching the M's game, but I do have it up on game day, just checking it out. 3-0 would be a chokehold, man. 3-0, absolute chokehold. Big Tex, Malcolm Moore. Remember, we drafted him, I believe, in 23 as a top prospect? 24, my bad, 24. So I think he's still a couple years away, though. I don't think that we're going to bring up Dreiling at any point this year. I think he is probably 27, 28 at best, if we're talking about Malcolm Moore, when he's going to potentially be called up. Jay's just tied it. You know what? I mean, I've said this from the beginning, and I know my Mariners fans that are hanging out aren't going to like this, but yeah, I'm a fan of more baseball when it comes to October. I know y'all Mariners fans want to see 3-0, want to see the series get wrapped up as quickly as possible. I get it. I'd be in the same boat. But as a casual fan of the playoffs right now, I want to see as many games as possible. So give me game 7s for both series, and then give me game 7 for the World Series too. More baseball is better for everybody. So I'm sorry. I'm hoping the Jays make it an interesting series. Now, do I really care who wins? No, I really don't care who wins. I've said it all along. It's pretty hard for me at this point to cheer for a division rival. It's not like I'm actively rooting for the Mariners to fail, but I cannot say I'm throwing my full support behind them. Now, do I appreciate big moments like Rivas for the Mariners tying up the game? When was that? Back in the DS in that marathon 15 inning? Yeah, I thought that was freaking sweet, man. Like I'm a fan of big moments and special performances, but I cannot say I'm actively rooting for really anybody at this point. Just give me good baseball and give me game 7s left and right from here on out. That's kind of where I'm at. Anyone but the Dodgers. Justin, I will say, I'm definitely not rooting for the Dodgers to win the World Series. I'm good. Totally good with the Dodgers losing out to the Brewers, but that series isn't looking very good either. It's unfortunate. What do I think could come up from the minors and make an impact in 2026? I think some of the pitchers, I don't know if there's really any hitters that I look at that we don't already have that are potentially going to make a big impact. Like you look at our AAA roster, which obviously could change. right? The AAA roster could definitely change before the season starts, but I look at more of the pitchers. You know, we saw Corniel. We saw a few guys that were on the AAA roster for most of the season, and there's some guys with promise. Now, look, being real, like Cole Drake, I think he would have been a guy that maybe would have been up in 2026 potentially. He's now at the Diamondbacks. But I do think that the pitchers are probably more likely to make an impact right now than the hitters. I mean, just looking at who we have, there were some guys who had some really good years for AAA Round Rock. You know, Robbie Alstrom, Peyton Gray. These are all guys that had quality seasons pitching, and that's not even mentioning some of the guys that got called up, right? Again, Corniel, absolutely. And then you're talking about maybe a Winston Santos potentially being maybe a call up at some point too. God, that would not surprise me at all. So I think it's going to be more pitching than anything. Kelly trade was definitely a flop. Will they be moving Rocker to the pen, Justin? I don't think so. I think Kumar Rocker, we've kind of had this conversation. You know, when it comes to minor league players, and just think about it, you know, for other trades and other organizations. When you're talking about a minor league player, what's more valuable? Starting pitching or relief pitching? When you're talking about prospects, starting pitching is infinitely more valuable than a relief pitcher who's in AAA. So I do not see the Rangers transitioning Kumar Rocker to the bullpen. I think you instantly decrease his value, and I just do not think it would be a wise decision organizationally. I think Kumar Rocker can still be a good starter, a solid starter in this league, but even if that didn't work out, I just don't think you want to devalue him, especially if you want to have him hold trade value. I'm not saying the Rangers are going to trade Kumar Rocker, but you'd like to have the option. And if you make him into a reliever and you really kind of make that switch once and for all, I think you're instantly bringing his value down. And I don't think you want to do that. So my thought would be they're going to keep him as a starter. Is it going to be with the big league club? I think that's a wait and see. I think they'll give him a shot to make the roster. I think he'll be a spring trading invite. And clearly, as a guy that's got some big league experience, I think he is going to be in consideration. But no, I don't think they're going to transition Kumar Rocker to a reliever. You would be almost instantly devaluing him. Tommy, very casually, not right now, I'm not, but I have been watching the CS for both the NL and the AL. And like I said earlier, just give me more baseball. I want to see game sevens left and right. TLC, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. I hope he stays a starter, but he's a wild card. Well said. Cody Freeman makes the club. JJ, I would love to see that. Do I think all the little rascals stick with the club in 2026? I'm a little bit surprised. You know, I think a lot of people really like Mike Hellman, and I do too. I wonder what Mike Hellman's place is going to be, though. I see a lot of people, a lot of Rangers fans, you know, slam dunk Hellman should be one of the starters. I think Hellman was a bit of a stopgap this year. I'm not saying that I'm not impressed by him. I'm not saying that Mike Hellman didn't light a fire under our team during that 16-4 stretch. It's no disrespect. I just kind of wonder, was Mike Hellman just a stopgap? A guy that caught fire and we just decided to keep riding the hot hand? And no, he's not really in the long-term plans, but it was a great run. You know, kind of a Linsanity type run, if you catch that reference. Like, I just kind of wonder if that is what Mike Hellman is and what that was. Lightning in a bottle. JJ, exactly. I think that is how I view Mike Hellman. And I hope that doesn't come across disrespectfully, because I really do like Hellman. But I just kind of wonder, was that kind of a Linsanity, lightning in a bottle? Hey, we're just desperate for wins. And you know what? Mike Hellman's been hitting, so here we go. But it was just kind of in a vacuum. And now, moving into 2026, they say to themselves, Mike Hellman's 30 years old. We've got Evan Carter. We've got Wyatt Langford. We've got Alejandro Osuna. We've got some young guys, and we're not even talking free agents yet. We've got some young guys coming up that we'd probably rather roll with than roll with 30-year-old Mike Hellman. And I know that comes off the tongue maybe a little disrespectfully, but this is a business, and I just wonder if they're going to go with the young guys over going with the guy who's kind of been a bit of a journeyman, 30 years old. Still controllable. That's the nice thing about Hellman. I think if you're a Hellman fan and you want to see Hellman be on the club and be a contributor, he's very controllable. He's not expensive, and the Rangers, they can sign him for multiple more years if they wanted. I just kind of wonder, you've got all these young outfielders. You got Dustin Harris. Alejandro Osuna, I would probably stack over Dustin Harris, but I'm a Dustin Harris fan. I just kind of wonder if they say to themselves, great run. Thank you for everything you did to give us a shot to make the playoffs, Mike Hellman. But we're going to go with the youth movement. We'll see. First baseman free agent options. Well, I think the big one is, of course, Pete Alonso. But look, Skip Schumaker talked about Jake Berger. All these guys that he named personally in his presser to begin his Rangers managerial career, I think are going to be back. I mean, he talked about Jake Berger. He talked about Jock Peterson. He talked about Josh Smith. So I kind of wonder if those three guys are definitely in the long-term plans. I don't know if the Rangers are necessarily going to be going after a first baseman. Let's see, TLC says, I'd say Kumar needs to have the year Leiter had this year, needs to graduate to a big leaguer. Leiter, I think, still has work to do as well, but yeah, I think that Kumar Rocker does need to take another big step. We will definitely see this spring. I think that some of those guys are absolutely going to be given an opportunity to compete. Brian, that was my take. I mean, look, if you were hoping for a lot of shakeups this offseason, I don't know that this is going to be your favorite result when we are sitting here together in March. I just don't know if it's going to be your favorite result. I think that they are probably going to stick with a number of guys. I think right field could be shaken up a little bit, but I think maybe catcher, I'm just not so sure it's going to be this massive shakeup like we were talking about. First base, third base, catcher, right field, DH. All those spots you could probably stand to shake up. I think center field, left field, Carter, Langford, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, I think those guys are probably locked in place. Right? But I think there's 5 positions, DH, catcher, first base, third base, right field, you could probably shake up. And I think it would have minimal effect on the rest of the club. In other words, I don't think it could be worse. In the words of Jerry Jones, we like our guys. We're going with the guys we got. Common expression in the DFW area. I mean, the Rangers, they would do that forever and ever with their bullpen, right? Before CY took over. We're going with the guys we got. Great. Yes. I would love to see more shakeups. I really would. I could see riding it out with Berger. I could see riding it out with Young. I have to be honest, I have my doubts about both of those players. I would love to see them each light it up, and I'd love to eat a big old plate of crow. But I have my doubts about Young and Berger really having elite seasons. I love Josh Young, and I love Jake Berger, the person. Clearly, he's only been around the franchise, the club, for a little while. But, man, it would not bother me to see a shakeup at multiple different spots. Don't know if it's going to happen. But I think that the Rangers are kind of trying to set us up a little bit for a bit of a boring offseason. Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I'm with you. I feel like the last 2 years, we've kind of gone with our guys, banking and hoping and praying for rebounds, and it just hadn't happened. Do I play baseball? I played at one point, but not for a very long time. Not for a very long time. We keep on going. 3-2 Jays now. That's awesome. Do I think the Rangers will have a talk with Alex Bregman? Phew. I don't know why they wouldn't. Bregman going to opt out of his deal with the Red Sox, but I don't know if the Rangers are going to be willing to pony up for what Bregman is going to command in free agency. And again, we're talking about Josh Young. I think that they might just go ahead and roll with Josh Young. 5-2 Jays now. Oh, man. Pouring it on them. Pouring it on them. And look, the Mariners, look, they had this knockout opportunity to go up 3-0 at home. 5-2 now. That's crazy. That escalated quickly. Really did. Do I like Aaron Judge? Yeah, look, I respect his game, and feels like he's a pretty classy guy. Clearly, I don't love the team he plays for. But yeah, I am an Aaron Judge fan. Definitely an Aaron Judge fan. Brian, yeah, look, I'm sure there's going to be some hot stove rumors. I'm sure there's going to be some things flying around, but I have my doubts how splashy it'll be. Trade Young for Rutschman, then sign Bregman. And then on 105.3 saying Berger, Peterson, and Young will be back next year. Yeah, that doesn't shock me. That doesn't shock me. Look, if they don't have good years this year, I don't know why you would reload again in 2027 unless you're just going full rebuild. But trade Young for Rutschman, that is the kind of trade I think you're going to have to do. If you trade for Rutschman, I think you're going to have to trade major league talent. I do not want to see the Rangers gut the farm system any further. I think that would be a mistake. I think that'd be a big mistake at this point. Aaron Judge doesn't show up in the postseason. He did have that pretty big home run, though, that brought them back from the brink. But I'll agree. I mean, look, in the World Series, he kind of melted down a little bit, didn't he? He does want to stay in Boston. Craig, you're right on that. He does, I think, want to stay in Boston. But I would definitely love for the Rangers to be in the mix. That is for sure. Schwarber would be a good one. I would be a big fan of the Rangers signing Kyle Schwarber. But again, we talked about you got to give up draft compensation when you sign a guy like Schwarber because the Phillies are going to offer him the qualifying offer. And you're going to have the same thing with other top free agents as well. And so it's just going to be tough. You're going to have to give up something to get those top guys beyond just paying them. I just wonder if some of these things are really going to deter Texas from doing anything major. I think a trade is probably more likely than a big free agent signing. Maybe there's some value guys that they'll add like they usually do. I don't really know if that's going to be enough to push us over the top, but that's kind of what I see the Rangers doing. Value free agent signings, maybe going out and getting a bigger name through a trade. I think that you maybe try and re-sign Tyler Mahle. I think that would be a big deal. And maybe some of the guys that you have right now in the bullpen, some of the vets, I think that would be wise. But we'll see. Time will tell. Guys in the live, we are not signing anyone. Oh, man. I hope that's not true, but would it shock me? No. With that trade, it helps with catching and maybe move Siegs to first, Simeon to short, and have Freeman at second. Look, I don't think Corey Seager is going to be moving from short within the next 2 years. I think what we saw from Corey Seager last year is he's still a very above average shortstop. Yes, he has the reputation for, being a little slow, being a little injury prone. Look, if you look at the metrics, you look at the advanced stats, he's one of the better shortstops in the game. And that's why Corey Seager is a Gold Glove finalist this year. Right? We talked about that earlier on the show. Rangers have Wyatt Langford, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, and Jacob deGrom. The Rangers have 5 Gold Glove finalists this year. I don't think you're moving Corey Seager off of shortstop after a Gold Glove season. Just don't think it's going to happen. Not going to bench Jock and sign another DH. Nope, I don't see that either. Yeah, TLC, you're probably right on that. It's not going to be some mass exodus. I agree. I don't know if it's going to affect as much, Brian, this year. I think it might a little bit. Next year is going to be the tough one. Like, I feel really bad for anybody going into free agency in 2026 or at the end of 2026. I feel bad for them. Is there any hope in your eyes that Simeon can show a resurgence offensively? Yeah, there is. I think we pointed to, he still gives you quality at bats. Yes, you'd love to see him walk a little more, but the walk rate, the chase rate, the K rate are still above average. He definitely needs to improve in some other areas, the bat speed and some of the other as well. But I think you've got to hope for it. The glove is great. The base running is great. Some of the intangibles are great. I think you've got to hope and pray Marcus Simeon not necessarily regains 2023 top 3 MVP form, but it's just like an average hitter for you. Just average. I remember saying this last year going into the 25 season. I'm like, if some of these guys could just be average and not be way below average, I think we could have a good year. But unfortunately, we still got a number of guys pretty close to way below average. It's just how it goes. TLC says, I'd like to see Corey get a few more DH days than everyday shortstop, help with injuries, help keep Simeon in the lineup. Yeah, I think that they're definitely going to still be DH and Corey Seager here and there. But look, again, the guy still maybe winning a Gold Glove. I don't know if he's going to win it, but I think they are still going to move forward with playing that guy up the middle with Marcus Simeon. It's a thing of beauty watching those two guys turn double plays and manage the middle of the field. It really is. We got to appreciate that before it goes away. Witt will win it, probably. What do I expect from Evan Carter? Yeah, 5 Gold Glove finalists is crazy. Ranger McKee, appreciate it if you're still hanging out. I think Evan Carter needs to be an everyday player this year. I said that so many times in 2025. I think this is the year you've got to go into the 26th season saying, we're going to try it. We are going to try to make Evan Carter an everyday player. I don't understand. Top prospect, right? Evan Carter was top 2 prospect in the organization. It was him and Wyatt Langford. Why on earth would you want that guy to be a straight up platoon player? I think this is the year you've got to say, we are going to play Evan Carter almost every day. Might we manage his workload a little bit at the beginning? Sure. I think this is the year you say, we are going to play Evan Carter every day. That's what I would do. Get him ready this offseason to be an everyday player. Give him his work, his off days here and there, but try your best to get Evan Carter into an everyday player. He'll be infinitely more valuable to you, both on the field and, again, you're always thinking about value for other organizations as well. Look, a platoon player is never going to be as valuable as an everyday player. For the sake of Evan Carter's value, I want to see that guy playing every day. Make a conscious decision right now. Bro, play every day. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know the Rangers are going to do it, but I think they need to. They need to stop doing this platoon stuff with the lefties. They do it way too much. Maybe Skip Schumaker, being he was a lefty, maybe Skip will have a little bit of a soft spot. I don't know. We'll see how Skip handles it, but the Rangers did way too much platooning of players. A guy would be on a hot streak. Let's sit him because there's a lefty. I'm just not a big fan of a top prospect being a platoon player. He's not an everyday player right now because he doesn't hit well against lefties, statistically speaking. But I don't think that he's really been given the opportunity. I think he has less than 50 at-bats in his career. Less than 50 Major League at-bats Evan Carter has against lefties. I don't know how, from that small of a sample size in the major leagues, you could say, yeah, we've tried it and it doesn't work. We'll see. Phillies are looking at Bruce Bochy as a manager. Jeez. Look, Bruce Bochy, I think any team would be happy to have him. I know that maybe some people would say he ran his course in Arlington, but we'll see. That would be interesting. Yeah, the platooning philosophy might change with Skip. It might not. It might not. The front office is still the front office. They didn't have a big shift there. So we all know how it goes. There's plenty of front offices that control quite a bit of the decision making. Don't know what it is 100% in the Rangers organization, but we can only hope, Brian. We can only hope it potentially changes with a new skipper coming into play. Do I think the Rangers re-sign Rowdy? I would say if you had to make me decide right now, probably no. I think Rowdy probably becomes a free agent and signs somewhere else. I think if the plan really is Jake Berger, then I think you pair it with Jock Peterson if you want to have another DH option. Remember, Jock Peterson was going to play first base quite a bit last year, and then I think they kind of got away from that when he got injured. But I really don't know why you would keep Rowdy when you've got Jock Peterson. Now, Rowdy Tellez definitely had some big hits for Texas, and I think he became a little bit of a fan favorite. But I would be surprised if we see Rowdy Tellez back in Ranger red, white, and blue. I'd be a little bit shocked, actually. I just think they are probably going to be a little bit more apt to give that 40-man spot to somebody younger, somebody up and coming, or maybe just someone from outside of the organization. I would be a little bit surprised there. Rowdy, you don't want to be back because of 105.3's comments. Yeah, then there's that. And then there's that. I don't think Rowdy's going to hold that against the Rangers, but I just don't know the Rangers are going to offer him those spots. I'd be really surprised. Boch is going to need a scooter for the mound visits moving forward. Rob B, my thoughts exactly, brother. Appreciate seeing you, man. Good to see you. Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised if Boch comes back. Maybe I'm wrong there. We keep on going. We'll know how serious Jock is about baseball if he comes back in just a little bit better shape. I don't know. I think Jock is going to come back pretty similar. I'd be surprised if, we see in February or March or whenever they report back, Jock looking, freaking jacked and trimmed down a little bit. I think Jock is kind of what he is right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I definitely am not expecting some offseason transformation for Jock Peterson and the body type. We'll see. We'll see, but I don't see it. All right, y'all. Look, let me see if I had anything else. I got to get off here. Going to go eat some dinner with the family in a little bit. Let me see if I missed anything else. We talked about the Gold Gloves. Look, in Fall League, we already kind of named the guys that are going to be on the Fall League team. There's not a lot of games or at-bats. It's not even worth going through the numbers. We talked about Walcott. He's been shut down. He is not going to really be participating in Fall League anymore. Jose Corniel, Winston Santos, Malcolm Moore, Emiliano Teodo, Dylan Dreiling, Colton Curtis, Joey Danielson. All those guys are participating in fall ball. Look, Osuna was a fall ball guy last year, and it actually, I think, really propelled him to being a guy that was one of the first call-ups when the Rangers needed it. So fall ball, I think some people kind of tuned out on. I think fall ball is where you can really impress. So I think by next week, we'll have a much better lay of the land with fall ball. I will definitely be recapping some of the Rangers that are having good seasons in the Arizona Fall League. That'll be the plan there. We'll see if anybody stands out. It's always an interesting time where you look for a couple of guys to really set themselves apart in the offseason. We'll see if that ends up happening. Let's see. Trent Grisham move possible? I don't think with all the outfield depth that they have in the minor leagues, I would not think an outfielder is up at the top of the priority list unless you can work out something for Kyle Tucker. I don't think the Rangers are going to go out and get some big-name outfielder like Grisham. I don't see it. Skip Schumaker is jacked. He is. And that shoe game is 100. That shoe game from Skip Schumaker, 100. Absolutely. Bring back Jankowski. Look, I love El Blondie, but I don't think that's going to happen. Cut Jonah Heim, that could happen. I could see that happen, a non-tender or a trade. I don't think Adolis Garcia is going to survive the offseason either. 6-2. We're about to go and watch that game right now, actually. Hey, give me your World Series predictions. Drop it in the comments real quick. I want to see what you guys have. I've got mine in my mind already. Give me the World Series matchup and give me the winner. And let's see where we end up on that. What do you guys think? Mariners-Dodgers is going to be a pretty popular one based on how it's going right now. Mariners-Dodgers, I think, is going to be pretty popular. Look, I think we are going to see LA, and I think the Blue Jays are going to find a way. I was thinking it when I saw them come back. I said, I think they're going to find a way here. This could be a weird series where, you know, a game like this kind of wakes them up and then they just go on an onslaught. I think I'm going to go Dodgers-Jays. And look, I was wrong. I said Phillies-Yankees before this whole thing started. But I do think that LA is probably going to repeat in a scenario like that. As much as I don't want that, I'll be glad to be wrong. But I think LA, whoever they face, is going to repeat. I think they've got too many dogs, too many guys that have been there, done that. Yamamoto is on one right now. I think they've got too many guys that are so well experienced in season for this. I'd be really, really surprised. Brian, I'm still holding on to. Look, I mean, this isn't like, who do I want? This is just, if I'm being objective, who I think is going to be in it and who I think is going to win it. So Dodgers, I think, unfortunately, is my pick. But I would love for it to be Brewers, Mariners, and give me the Brewers in that scenario. I know the Mariners haven't won one, but the Brewers haven't either. I'm not going to cheer for the division rival to get a World Series. I'm sorry, all my Mariners fans out there that are hanging out. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So we'll see what ends up happening. But we're going to go enjoy the rest of this game here in a second. I thought the World Series was basically the LA Phillies series. Hey, looking back, that wasn't a bad thought at all. Should the Padres hire Bochy? That would be interesting. That would be really interesting. I mean, I think they'd be lucky to have him, but they might want to go a little younger. They had Mike Schilt. They might want to do what the Rangers did, get a little younger. Nothing against the older managers. Unless you find an upgraded catcher on a budget, Hyman Higgy might be another year. Rob B, I don't know if I'm here for it or not. I think Higgy's going to be around, and I've said I'd like Higgy to be more of a secondary option. It was kind of Hyman Higgy 50-50. At the end, I think Higgy started getting a little more playing time. I'd like to see something different there. I would be really surprised if they hold on to Heim and Garcia. Look, Brian, I'll admit, I said Phillies, Yankees, so I got to be in that. Yep, that was me. I mean, look, as it unfolded, I can't say I thought Phillies were going to do it, but I thought the Phillies had a shot going into that series. I was very, very wrong. Hey, appreciate all you guys, man. JJ, thanks so much for the kind words. It's good to see all you guys. Like I said, you know, it's hard. We go from every day almost doing these lives every day to once a week, and I definitely miss hanging out with all y'all. Look, if the Rangers do anything crazy, they sign somebody, some big news drops, we will definitely get on doing emergency live. Look, a part of me wanted to do a live for the Skip Schumaker press conference, but I was like, you know what? There wasn't anything crazy that he said. It was a lot of coach speak, a lot of the right words. There wasn't anything to me worth needing to hop on the mic and talk through immediately. But look, when we get into the offseason after the World Series and, you know, all of the deals start heating up, the trade talks start heating up, we'll be here. The Rangers make any big signings or re-signings. They get Tyler Mahle back on a couple-year deal. We'll be here. That's the plan. And by the way, Saturday, Longhorns will visit Lexington, Kentucky to face the Kentucky Wildcats. And we got the Cowboys as well. They will be looking to rebound after a tough loss, man. Tough loss to Carolina. I'll say embarrassing loss. They'll play the Commanders this weekend. That's going to be a 3:25 kickoff. Commanders coming to Dallas and Washington both looking to get back on track. That Washington loss to Chicago, it did make me feel a little better. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's like, all right, now we can't have everybody holding over our heads the Chicago Bears loss. Commanders, yeah, you choked too at home. At least we were on the road in Chicago. Washington choked that one away at home. So I'll say this. I felt a little bit better watching the Commanders blow that one. And we'll see who the more pissed off team is going into Sunday's matchup. Is it going to be Washington or is it going to be Dallas? Hope the Cowboys get back on track. Dak historically has done really well against the NFC East. I would love to see a bounce back. I think people are definitely higher on Arch Manning. Segueing here, YouTube comment, how's the fan base on Arch? I think winning Red River helped a lot. But look, Arch was not, sharp or otherworldly in the Red River game. It was a defensive performance, and it was a Wisner performance as well. I think Arch didn't make mistakes, didn't lose the game. He made some big plays here and there with his feet, especially had a couple of really nice throws in some big moments. Wasn't really a complete game from Arch, but look, you've got a couple of building blocks before you go to Georgia, before you go to Athens. That's going to be a big game, man. That's going to be a huge game. And you'd hope that the Horns are going to be hungry for avenging that loss in Austin last year. We'll see what happens, but we'll be back Saturday. We'll be back Sunday to talk college football and NFL respectively. That's the plan. That is the plan. Come join us. Even if you're not a Longhorns fan or a Cowboys fan, come hang out, talk college football, talk some trash. You know how it goes. We're here for it. And look, I appreciate that all you guys are here tuning in on this great Wednesday. A week from today, we'll do our next offseason show. I'm sure we'll have the World Series matchup set by that point. Maybe a World Series game played. I don't know the schedule, but we'll see what happens. But we'll definitely be back next week around this time. That's kind of our plan, 7 p.m.-ish, maybe 6:30 p.m. Texas time, 6:30 to 7, kind of in that window. So, you know what? If you don't have anything else going on, mark it on your calendar. Every Wednesday, count on us to be here. We'll be hanging out, talking Rangers off-season ball. Brian, I hope he's good too. I think it was the game I was really hoping to see from him. He kind of had a slow start in his first game back. It was great to see him hit the ground running. Trey Wisner, big piece in that Longhorns offense for sure. Appreciate all you guys. 6-2 Toronto. Salvador, my guy. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. That's what I like to see. That is what I like to see. More baseball. Can I get 2 Game 7s? Let's see the Brewers make a little comeback. Let's see the Jays make a little comeback. Give me a Game 7 in both series, and then give me a Game 7 in the World Series. Let's just see more and more baseball. I don't want the baseball season to be over quite yet. I miss our boys too. Salvador, 100%. I miss our boys. And like I said, I miss hanging out with all y'all every day. Win or lose, right? Win or lose. No fair weather here, and no fair weather with a lot of y'all too. A lot of y'all diehards. I appreciate it. We'll keep riding. Hey, great show. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate all the comments. We'll be back this weekend, Saturday, Sunday for college football and NFL. And then we'll be back next Wednesday for our 3rd or 4th off-season show. It's been a long day. Hope you guys have an outstanding rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of the week. World Series starts on the 24th. Brian, my guy. So we'll have the World Series matchup. We will not have any World Series games played next week on the show. That's great. We can make some World Series predictions. We can preview the series. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. All right, y'all. Have a good night. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.